to add our smart object that we created, which is now a single file here, and we're going to replace the smart object in our mock-up of our beverage file with our newly created logo that we've created of ourselves. So I am now going to select all, or Control A, Command A on a Mac. You can see the marquee floating around. I'm going to copy that, Command or Control C to copy. And now the next thing I need to do here is File, Open, locate the beverage file, which is one of the mock-ups. And you can find those in week 2 in the module, week 2 module. And I'm going to choose the beverage can mock-up here. And I'm going to open that. And because someone else created this file, like I said in class, when someone else creates a file, you really do have to investigate all the different components that create this particular mock-up. There's a lot of bits and pieces here. Notice they haven't layered a lot of their layers, so the only way to figure out what those are is by turning things on and off, by clicking these eyeballs. And you'll soon see how all of these layered elements, including the color of the can, are layered together. Ooh, that's kind of a neat image, just the water droplets here, the condensation. So by doing that, you can see what all the components are. Now, the nice thing is they've actually labeled properly for us to find the smart object at the top here, which is your logo goes here. It is a smart object. So what we're going to double click on here is the smart object icon in the logo here layer. So I'm going to double click. And now I've got the image of the logo here. I don't need any of that. So I'm actually going to turn those components off to leave me a blank slate. And now I'm going to Control V. Remember we copied already our logo from our other file over here. So select all, copy. And now I've double clicked the smart object, which opens it up in a new tab. I've turned off the elements I don't want to see, and I'm going to Command or Control V to paste my logo in place here. And where did it go? Oh, I better try that again. Select all, Control C to copy, and Control V to paste. I don't know where it's going. Is it massive? Who knows? I'm getting lots of other things happening here. So I'm going to need to troubleshoot. So if my copy and paste isn't working, what else can I do? Well, I saved it. Remember we saved our file somewhere else in a folder. So I'm going to File, Place It. Where there's a will, there's a way. So we will place embedded, and I'll figure out why my program, it might be lack of memory. I might be running out of memory. I just got rid of some files. So if I go to Beverage and I look up my face logo here, there's my PSD from yesterday. And I created a new cutout. Beverage smart object. There it is. Bubbly, bubbly, gingerlicious. So there's my JPEG, and I'm going to place that. There it is. And as you can see, though, it's got a white background. So it didn't preserve my background. So how do we avoid that? What type of file did I save that as? Well, I saved it as a JPEG. So now, I did that on purpose, by the way, of course, to remind you that a JPEG must contain color pixels, even if they're white. So if I'm going to save this smart object, what file type will I save it as? Well, I'm going to save it as a PNG file. PNG file will preserve the transparency. So there we go. It's a PNG, beverage logo, smart object. Save it in the same place. There we go. Go with the default. Now when I go back to the ellipse, I'm going to get rid of this one, throw it in the trash can, because I do not want to play around with that white background. And I'm going to place embedded. And there we are, the PNG. And as you can see, I have a clear background. Now I'm going to make this a bit bigger to fill the canvas as much as I can. Oh, I can't even scroll my screen. Here we go. And I'm going to fill the space and I'm going to center it in there. Once I'm happy with where it is, I'm going to hit enter or return to commit. And I'm going to Control or Command S to save. Once I've saved that, I go back to my beverage can here. And there it is. There I am. Now you can see that the font, I really can't see that on that orange background. So this is where you can go back to your beverage logo. This is why I like to keep everything open. I'm going to highlight my text here. Oh, wait, what did we do? We converted it into a smart object, so it's not editable. So what do? Thankfully, we were smart enough to save a PSD file. So I'm going to go back to my PSD. There we go. That's not the right file. I just created a whole new layer on that one. So where's my new file here? We have so many things open. Better be careful. There it. Oh, I have to close off this one. All right. File open. Open my PSD. And I should be layers intact. There we go. Now I'm going to change this to black instead. Same with Gingerlicious. Because my can is already orange, so I can't see my orange on my orange, so I'm going to make some changes here. Now that I have that, I'm going to Control S or Command S to save that. Select by Shift clicking to select my layers here. And once again, convert to a smart object. There we go. File, save as. Remember, we want to preserve transparency. Need a PNG file. And if I want to name it the same thing, you know what you do? You go back here and you click on the name of the logo if you want to replace it. Any name in here, watch this, beverage. Anything I click on will pick up the name here. So the one I want is the logo smart object PNG. It's a PNG. Excellent. Save. Yes, I want to replace the one that's already in there. Okay. So let's go back to the ellipse. Let's get rid of that smart object and file place embedded and save it and place our new one. So that's why I like to keep my files open as I'm working. So I have the option to make changes as I go. And you can use your arrow keys on your keyboard to nudge things in place. Once you're happy, commit, return, or enter. There we go. And Control or Command S to save. Let's see what that looks like. Let's go back to our beverage can mockup. There we go. We can visibly see it. So how do I make that bigger? Because it's a smart object. How do I make that bigger on my can? I go back to the beverage logo. Here's the ellipse. That's the one we want. We do the same thing about increasing our canvas size. So I'm going to, it's 8. I'm going to go to 10. Click OK. Control T to get my bounding box. Make that bigger. There we go. Control T gives you the bounding box so you can grab the anchor points to make that bigger. Return or enter to commit. and Command S, Control S on a Mac to save. And let's go back. What does that look like? So that's a little bit bigger and that fills more space. So there you go. There isn't a lot to it. So when you're watching the video, just go, you can slow it down, you can reverse, you can pause it, and go through the motions to get your logo on your can the way you want it. Eventually we're going to add numbers, calories, and fluid ounces needs to be on here. But if you want to go one step further and change the color, right now my can is orange. We can clearly identify that here. So we double click that for the color, and we can change the color at any time. So I'm going to go for, I like cream soda. Oh, it's Gingerlicious. I should probably go for something more in the creamy colors here. There we go. So we've got that. That looks more gingery, goldy gingery. Now you can see it didn't change the top here. It's still orange. So we're going to need to figure out what those things are. So again, this is where it comes to turning things on and off. Oh, look at that. The reflection. And when I turn that on and off, you can see those pieces change up here. So how come there's no color bar here? Well, they've used this thing called an effects. If you double click a layer, and you can see the effects here, we're going to double click that. Well, they used in effects a color overlay. So if we click on color overlay, right there, we have access to the color. So now I'm going to change, woohoo, to yellow. Get more into the goldy orange gamut here. That's better. Click OK. I can see this reflection, turn it on and off. There's the other reflection here. It also has an effects. So I'm going to go to the one there's only one selected, color overlay. Double click or click on the color, change that color as well. There we go. So you can clearly see we've now nicely modified the color. Excellent. Okay. Now there's a background, this rectangle. That's your background color here. So what if we want to change that? There's a gradient overlay. It's an effects. So let's go here. This one takes a little bit more to change. Gradient overlay. Here it is. Here it is. So here it is. You have to click, click, click through anything with a color box to start accessing the color. So what color do I want in the background? Ooh. There, that blue looks all right with that. So if I want to change the gradient, I'm going to go to this color as well. Whoops, I have to commit. Okay. Then I can change this color. There it is. And let's go, do I want blue? Do I want white? Obviously, I'm covering up the results here. Whoops. I have to commit once again. Okay. Okay. If I play with that, see, you can start seeing more of it. There it is. If I move this, it blends that out a bit more. Oh, it's too, I want it softer. There we go. So I kind of give myself a little bit of a halo here. Click OK. So those are OK to that. Those are effects. So by double clicking anything where there's an effects, you get this layer styles palette, and you can do all sorts of things in here. So that allows you to play around with your file. So that's all we need for now. So what you're going to do is you're going to save your PST, so your beverage can mockup PST. Just do a Control or Command S. And then to save that for me for marking, what you're going to do is File, Save As, and save a good old JPEG for me. And that's what you're going to upload as your draft for the beverage assignment in the portal. And yeah, just follow the instructions here as we go. It's a JPEG, so it's not going to override your PSD file because the naming convention is slightly different. 10 is good. We can actually go down to 8 because we have our PSD still. We have control over the size of this, and if we already see at even medium, it's 5.8, but that's enough to let me see that you've accomplished the task. So I'm clicking OK. And there we go. And that's how we add our logo and replace the smart object over here in the mockup. So if I was going to open the beer label and do the same thing, the beer label is composed in the same way. It has a smart object. So if I go to the mockup beer bottle, I check the everything here, and here's the beer bottle front. Which one is it? I don't want the neck label. See, I just turned on and off the neck label. What if I click on this one below? Oh, that's not it either. Is it this one? There it is. Here's the smart object. That should be the label on the front. I wonder what's happening there. That's the entire label. All right, well, we'll see what happens. This is change the background color. Oh, look at that. All right, so I can grab this label here. There it is. I'm going to replace that whole label right here. This is what we're going to replace. Yes, please. Place. Okay, here we go. So we want to replace this here. So we're going to select all and delete what was in here. We're going to file place. Place embedded. Our logo. This one right here. Place. Uh-oh, it's the JPEG again, right? And I don't want that white background. So I'm going to ditch that, select all. Oh, I'm just going to do a boo-boo backwards. Control Z. So file place. Make sure you get the right file. I would say I did that on purpose, but I didn't. To show you what happens when you grab the wrong file. So even I make mistakes. But it's really quick to remedy that. You just go, oh, well, wrong one. Control Z, move on, and collect the right file here. File place, there it is. Make it slightly bigger to fill the space. There we go. Put it where you want it. Hit enter or return. Control S to save. And that's it. You've already replaced it. Done. So that's how easy it is when you use somebody else's mockup in order to just replace the smart object and you're good to go. So again, you have to go through somebody else's work to see what things are named and how they're set up. But once you find that element, it's really easy to replace and make it your own. And that's the end of this tutorial, and hope to see some really cool work come out of the class.